All right, bro. So this story is kind of near and dear to my heart, and it's because of where I'm from, you know what I mean, and my ties to it, but it's kind of messed up too. So currently, Chrysler, Ford, and GM are trying to pass a legislation right now on the cars and trucks that you actually buy, meaning that they're trying to lock you out of repairing your cars aftermarket. Donald Trump dropped a truth bomb of what is actually going on, and it's got a lot of people second guessing whether these American car companies are actually for Americans themselves. And it could be the beginning of the end for the US automakers due to this one situation that we're about to get into right now. So with no further ado, let's get started. So after meeting with Ford and GM executives exclusively, they simply said, we do not want single individuals being able to fix their cars. So Donald Trump called it strange. And then he brings up a fact that there was a gentleman that got like 7 years in prison or something like that for fixing his own vehicle. So whether that story checks out or not, I'm not sure. Again, I get all my info from DuckDuckGo. I would have to say that regardless of the situation, these three entities do not want you working on your own cars, trucks, or vans that you purchase from them. So here's the skinny of it. All the modern cars are just giant computers on wheels. Everything from the GPS, everything is spidered into one mainframe. And because of that fact, they're calling it a security issue. So they want to lock you out of the vehicles, calling it safety. But it's not actually safety for a few different reasons, but we're going to get into a couple of them right now. So the manufacturers say giving aftermarket or the local mechanics access sets up a, I don't know, terroristic circumstance where they could hack into the computers in the cars and get the cars to do whatever it is that they want them to do. But these are licensed mechanics that have a paper trail that leads directly back to them. And a lot of times these mechanics offer warranties on the work that they do. Doesn't make much sense. Not to mention the mechanics, but the hacker aspect of it. Again, if you're going in to take your vehicle to a mechanic, why then would you be worried about a hacker doing something to the computer? Because one and one is not making two. But here's the part that they're not telling you. A lot of these entities are selling your information, not the mechanics, not the hackers, but the actual companies themselves, to large data centers anyway, and or data brokers. Seems to me like they only care about security when it protects their profits, but not your wallet. In addition, the dealer repair shops have lost ground, falling from, I think it was 33% to 29 or 26%. And then on the flip side, independent dealers grew from 266,000 to over 300,000 to service all customers everywhere. This simply happened because people are voting with their wallets, whereas a dealership is going to cost you $2,000 to fix an issue. A regular mechanic may charge you $75 to fix the exact same issue and give you a discount and a referral for an additional discount. But this is another thing as well. So Ford is already short some 6,000 plus technicians right now. And there is a waiting list in order for you to get your car serviced, depending on what area of the country that you're in, anywhere between days to weeks at a time. So instead of these cats spending their money to make things easier on the consumer, they're now trying to lobby Congress to stop you from getting repairs done or to stop the DIYers from doing it themselves. This shit is absolutely ridiculous. But wait a minute, let's not forget Stellantis. These cats rolled out a complete firewall or fire block to stop independent mechanics from accessing their vehicles altogether unless they pay some exorbitant subscription fee. So it's the same bullshit playbook. It makes it, really hard for consumers, really hard for DIYers, really hard for mechanics, because they want you to take it back to them so that they can service it and keep even more of your hard-earned money. Look, I'm not saying that safety doesn't matter. No one wants hackers taking over cars or messing with people's brakes or anything like that. All I'm simply saying is that there has to be a way, in order to give these mechanics what they need in order to go ahead and service the actual customer themselves. Not just in the dealerships, but also regular people who want to work on their own cars and the mechanics who are authorized to do so at local shops. Because at this point, it's not even about cars. It's actually the case of, do we actually own what we sign our name to, or do we own what we buy? Because if this legislation passes, every vehicle over the road will be something that is inherently leased. You don't own it. It can be locked down at any time for any reason at all by the powers that be, simply because you try to go get something done that they don't want you to do in fear of something that has not happened as far as a hacker is concerned. It's kind of, I don't know, a catch-22, so to speak, but it's actually really simple. If you put your name on it, it's yours for the duration, and you should be able to do what you want with it. So at this point, there is something called a right to repair legislation that you can support. You can contact your local congressman or your state representative, your senators or whatever the case may be, and try to see if you can get some answers to questions that you may have yourself. But this is not something that is going to be long-term good for the U.S. automakers if this passes. In fact, I could actually see it bankrupting U.S. automakers, as people will opt out of purchasing new cars in favor of something older that they can actually work on themselves. The trickle-down effect could be massive too, because it could result in mass layoffs from the plants and the administration and administrators across the board themselves for all three of the big three. This is not a good thing in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But you tell me what you think about it. Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? I inherently believe that it's terrible, but let me know what you think. I'm out. Deuces.